He thought no one knew about his secret baby. So I exposed him to his new girlfriend at a preschool graduation. I'll start off by saying, I don't really think I'm the a-hole, though I could be in some ways. This is slightly an AITA story and slightly a petty revenge story, so I'd be curious to know any thoughts people have on it. For some context, most of the time, I find it easy to forgive and move on. I will admit I am a recovering people pleaser in that sense. But I had a beautiful moment of pettiness that I absolutely had to share with y'all. Allow me to set the scene. My husband and I have been married over 8 years, and I get along pretty well with his family. Husband has 2 sisters and 2 BILs, whom I also get along well with. We get together often for birthdays, Sunday dinners, etc. I bonded a little more with my BIL, Jay, as he was a little easier for me to talk to. Both of us moved from out of state and shared some similar thoughts and interests. He often seemed to exaggerate a bit when he was talking, but overall seemed genuine, so I didn't think much of it. About a year ago, we found out that my husband's sister, R, was separating from her husband, J. It wasn't completely unexpected. There was a lot of tension in their relationship for a long time, but we thought they were working through whatever their struggles were. They were pretty private about it and never told any of us what was going on. Jay worked with my husband, so when we found out about their divorce, it was through Jay. He told my husband that it was an amicable separation that they had pretty much decided on together. No lawyers would be involved and they would be as cordial as possible so they wouldn't have to take it to court, pay the fees, etc. We gave her some time, so she could tell us when she was ready, as she didn't know that Jay had already told my husband. When R eventually did share the news with us, there were some discrepancies in the story. R mentioned that Jay had surprised her by telling her that he wanted a divorce because they weren't happy. When R learned that Jay had told us first, she was a little put out, and felt that he had done it as a power move to get us on his side, a comment which we didn't totally understand at the time. Over the next few months, R began to share some details about what had caused so much tension in their relationship and how she was digging up some unexpected information on Jay. Apparently, about 4 years into their marriage, they were married about 13 years, Jay had confessed to her that he had cheated on her. R never told anyone in the family, because we're all very religious, and her parents never liked Jay much from the beginning, even though he did share our religion. But because she had chosen to marry him regardless of their feelings, they had told her that if anything happened between them, she wouldn't be able to use them for help. So she kept her mouth shut and stayed married, trying to work it out with Jay, struggling for the next 9 years to trust him again. Hence the resentment and tension in their relationship. Jay appeared to be improving, becoming more active in our religion and attending family functions more often. Within a month of their separation, R found out about multiple other women that Jay had been with over the last 9 years of their marriage. She learned that the day their daughter, M, was born, he had been with another woman just before coming to the hospital for her birth. And it gets worse. Apparently, Jay was in a very involved relationship with another woman, C, for a year or 2 before he asked R for the divorce. C moved across the country, where she didn't really know anyone, so they could be together. Although C knew about Jay's daughter, she believed Jay and R were no longer together. Jay would take M to work and leave her with C. I, a stay-at-home mom at the time, had offered multiple times to watch M so Jay wouldn't have to take her to work. He always declined, saying it's fine and she loves coming to work with me. After they separated, R eventually found out about C. R contacted C and discovered that C and Jay had a 4-month-old baby, F, together. Not just an we forgot the condom baby, but an actual planned baby where he attended the birth. Then, after F was only about a month, Jay ghosted C completely. She was left all alone with a newborn baby and no family or friends close by. Having learned all of that, R got a lawyer and filed for full custody of M. C also filed for full custody of and sole legal parental rights for F and got child support. He was served both of these documents within a couple of weeks of each other and contested neither. You'll also remember that Jay worked with my husband. My husband was his boss and had to pretend he didn't know anything about Jay's infidelity and lying so R could have time to get the legal stuff sorted out without tipping off Jay to her hand. He hadn't really been doing the work that he was supposed to, even since before the separation, so, finally, after a few months of the divorce being finalized, Jay was fired from his job. You would think that losing custody and his job would be enough for me to be satisfied, but alas, I was not. Not only was I angry and disgusted on behalf of my sister-in-law, but I felt personally betrayed by this man after years of building a relationship with him that turned out to be completely fake. I learned that he had a new girlfriend before the divorce was even finalized. So, I made a plan in my mind that if I ran into them in public, we live in a small town, I would casually ask him about C and their daughter. My first opportunity came and when at a Chick-fil-A Jay was with his new girlfriend, M, and Jay's mother. I had my 2 kids with me and was headed out the door when Jay's mom called to me and I went back to say hello. I caught up with his mom, but essentially acted as if Jay wasn't there. It wasn't the right time and I knew I couldn't contain myself if I spoke to him. Finally, my opportunity came tonight. My daughter is the same age as Jay and ours daughter, M, so they attended preschool together and had their graduation celebration about a week ago now. I was slightly surprised when Jay showed up, knowing that the whole family would be there. My husband went to chat with Jay afterwards, and I decided to tag along, which opened up a beautiful opportunity. I stood by, casually chatting with Jay's younger brother and GF while my husband chatted with Jay. When their conversation finished, he turned my way and I knew it was time. I gave him that it's been such a long time. Kind of smile, shook his hand and said, "Hey. So, how is F? She's about 1 now, right?" As I said earlier, I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I wasn't supposed to know about F, so this was not something he wouldn't have expected, especially not from me, and especially with his GF standing right next to him. I assume she knows nothing of C and F. Let me tell you, the look on his face was scrumptious. The horror, confusion, panic, and shock I saw in his face was everything I hoped it would be. Jay grabbed his GF's hand and tried to scramble out of there, but not before I turned to her and said, "Make sure you ask him about this later." I feel like I was able to put him in his place and hopefully give at least a passing warning to his girlfriend. It may not seem like much, but for someone like me, it was so cathartic to put him in his place and hopefully expose him as the liar and manipulator he is, as I'm sure he gaslit the bejesus out of her after this encounter. So, what do you think? Ita? Or was this all justified? I don't have any info on how things went down after this, but I hope I find out, and if I do, I'll definitely share an update. Thank you my potatoes for reading this novel. Have a great night, and stay petty. Because people may ask, ours parents did let her and M move in with them and helped her pay for the lawyer. They may have sounded callous, but remember that was almost 14 years ago now and they have adapted and changed their mindset. Although, I'm pretty sure they still don't like Jay.